systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Ship It Nation YouTube station? Black Friday football on our hands. Hope everyone had an amazing Thanksgiving yesterday. I'm in the saddle here with my guy Ham, rocking that nice FanDuel hoodie there. Hashtag free 99. But yeah, don't check the slips over on FanDuel.com because it was quote unquote free, right? But bring you in right away, man. How was your Thanksgiving? How's your Friday? Your Black Friday? You doing a lot of shopping out there, chasing deals around with the wife? What's the setup?
Yeah, man, get ready for some Egg Bowl action, a little Mississippi State action here later this morning. Then obviously watch this Black Friday game. I got my nades on this morning. Got my nades on. Went and got swole this morning, or try to get swole to be like him. And so yeah, ready to dive into this one. Should be a good game. There's no way the Bears can win this game, right, Nades? The Eagles are just the greatest in the world. No way it's going to happen, but that's why they play the game. So looking forward to breaking it all down.
Yeah, there's no way, right? I mean, you run a dry run in any sort of optimizer out there. Obviously, you see SaberSim up on the screen right here, who we are partnered with over at ShipItNation.com here. And I was getting roughly, in my initial 150, not really touching anything, running teams, I got 50% 5-1 Eagles builds. I think it's probably going to be in the realm of 30 to 35% 5-1 Eagles builds, which, man, seems crazy. I'm a guy that never plays 5-1s, really. I'd just rather take a chance, especially when you're seeing the Eagles defense at the 30 to 35% ownership alone. Combine that, right, with the everybody wants to play Hurts, Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, the Eagles defense, Jake Elliott. You're going to see a lot of 5-1s here today for the Eagles, and we'll do our best to kind of talk through it that way. But that's kind of the off the top, right? Just broad slate overview there. 44.5 is the total here. Game in Philly. Eagles 7-point favorites here. But hey, guess who else was a 7-point favorite yesterday? And we watched what happened there. Joey B said, go sit down, Lamar. Take a seat on the bench. I don't care about you can have those points. We don't need the points, right? We're going to win outright here. So, yeah, anything can happen. It's the NFL. It's Black Friday, right? It's holiday, day after Thanksgiving. Crazy shit can happen. It happens every week in the NFL here. So we'll do our best to kind of break it all down. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. If you want to get in, still use that code SHIP19 as you see up on the screen. 5 days for $19. If you get in today, you got Black Friday football. You got Saturday college football, full slate of games there. Got MMA, I believe, this week. If not, it'll be back next week. But then you got the full Sunday and Monday night football. $19. Check us out. All the premium content you need. Best spot in the industry, hands down, for sure. And the cheapest all-in rate as well, if you want to join a community there as well and get in the Discord. Ham, I'll throw it over to you right away. We'll start with the captain position here. You got Jalen Hurts up at the top, 17-4. Drop down to Caleb Williams for $1,400 or $1,200 cheaper, excuse me. Then you got Saquon at 15-9. Definitely going to be a talking point there. He seems to be the highest owned captain on the slate because of that discount you get off of him and Hurts. And then you got A.J. Brown, 14-4. Roma Dunze, as you can see there, grayed out. Didn't hit any teams at 150 builds. The reason being is look at his projection, 17.4. A.J. Brown, a little bit more expensive, 23.55. Devontae Smith projects for way more than him, and he's cheaper overall. So Roma Dunze, naturally going to get squeezed. Nobody's going to play him. DJ Moore's got one of the wilder price tags on the slate, but again, he went nuclear last week. Feels a little bit of a chase, but again, you're going to get super, super low ownership on a guy like him. And then you got DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, as basically DraftKings said, hey, here they are. Everybody saw what happened the last 2 weeks. Monangai outsnapped DeAndre Swift, outcarried DeAndre Swift. So naturally, what's going to happen today? Monangai, right? Everybody's going to see that, want to play Monangai because they said, oh, this backfield must be Monangai's now. We see this stuff happen all the time. I still like DeAndre Swift quite a bit at 9,900 as a contrarian play on this slate. And then Dallas Goedert at 7,8. What do you see here from the captain position?
Yeah. To me, it's Saquon Barkley. I know you and I talked a little bit pre-show. He's going to be a little bit higher owned, and I'll tell you the reason why I like him. One, he's coming off one of his worst games of his career, probably definitely with the Eagles. I think it was 22 yards, something like that. I think they want to establish him. The Bears missing their top 3 linebackers, missed them last week too, and all the Steelers did was rush for a $160. I think this is a get right spot for Saquon. He's my favorite. He's my favorite captain. I can definitely see him scoring twice on long runs. We know if they get inside the 5, he's more than likely not going to get it just because of the tush push. But yeah, give me some Saquon up there, up top. He's by far my favorite. I'll let you talk a little bit on A.J. Brown. And then if I was getting super contrarian, I would go Caleb Williams and or Monangai. And I'll tell you the reason why I like Monangai. I know you like Swift a little bit more, but DeAndre Swift, former Eagle great DeAndre Swift, that is, in a little revenge action. But DeAndre had 8 carries last week. He had 7 in the first 3 drives that they had, fumbled on carry number 7. He only touched the ball one more time in the whole second half. Maybe they don't trust him. Maybe it is Monangai. It's tough to run this Eagles team, so that's why I like Monangai as like a super contrarian. And then lastly, Nate's Caleb Williams. He's my favorite Bear. They should be playing from behind. That's what Vegas is telling us. He's going to be flinging that ball around there. Is he going to make some dumb decisions like he did last week against TJ Watt and company? Absolutely. But he is going to run a little bit, rush for 21 yards last week, I believe. He does have some scrambling ability. He's going to be flinging around. He's got some weapons. He's got some pretty good weapons on the outside of the tight end position. So I don't hate him from a trailing great game script. So it's Barkley and Williams as my favorite too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree and see what everybody sees with Barkley. I'm a little bit hesitant. So the Bears are allowing the top 6 in the league in terms of yards before contact, right? Three yards per contact on average before obviously the running back gets touched by anyone from the defense, which does help a guy like Saquon Barkley for sure. However, you take it to the red zone. Jalen Hurts has out carried Saquon Barkley 11-4 and has 6 touchdowns to Saquon Barkley. I don't know how many touchdowns he has within that stretch there, but 11-4 in terms of carries there. I just think Barkley's ceiling is capped here because it hurts. How versatile Hurts is in the red zone there. And not to mention, I get it, right? The Steelers did do good on the Bears in terms of running, but it was really Kenneth Gainwell on the back of Kenneth Gainwell had a big run there, almost got all the way home. And he busted like a 50 or 60 yard run, got tackled at the 1, and then Tyler Warren, right, kind of snuck it in, or Jalen Warren, excuse me, ran it in. Outside of that, I mean, you look at the running backs that have faced this Bears team. Aaron Jones, take him for what he's worth. Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones, 11 fantasy points, 10.5 fantasy points. Jalen Warren, 12.8. Kenneth Gainwell, 18.2, which was good. Tyrone Tracy didn't do anything. There's no running game there, obviously, from the Giants. But Chase Brown, he did have a pretty good game. Derrick Henry had a pretty good game. So it is a favorable matchup there. I just think Tank Bigsby is going to eat into Saquon Barkley's lunch a little bit more. It is a short week here. They do need Saquon Barkley in the stretch down at the end of the year here. I think Tank Bigsby is going to eat more into Barkley than what people think. So if that's the case, I have a hard time paying Saquon Barkley up at the captain at almost 16 grand when he's going to be the highest owned captain on the slate. I'm going to take a shot. I'd rather play Hurts if I'm picking between one of the two, but I really don't like playing either of them, to be honest. I'm just playing contrarian today. I think Caleb Williams is a good captain play because if you look at his potential targets that he can throw to, Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Zacchaeus, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, and DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai as well, a little bit in the receiving game there, more so Swift. That's a lot of guys compared to the Eagles side of things where it's much more condensed in terms of the offense. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown obviously lead the wide receiver, Dallas Goedert, and then Saquon Barkley. It's much more condensed on that side. Obviously, Jahan Dotson, Darius Cooper, things like that can trickle in a little bit, but it's much more condensed than the Bears side. So if that's the case, I'm more so willing to play one of the skill guys for the Eagles up top, like A.J. Brown, who I like quite a bit up top, or Devontae Smith over playing Jalen Hurts up top. I get the rushing upside Jalen Hurts brings. I'm just going to tap more into these Bears, the Bears side of things. I think also the Bears are going to be playing from behind, and we know when the Eagles are up They're fine taking the arrow of the football, sitting on it, playing a gross game. You saw a 10-7 win over the Packers in Green Bay on the season. The Eagles have played to the under pretty frequently because of how often they just sit on the football, right? Take the air out of it. So for me, the captain position, I like Caleb Williams, but my overall favorite captain on this slate is going to be Rome Odunze. I just think he gets squeezed a ton. I think this is a good matchup for him. Rome does excel in man coverage here. And the Eagles I think are second right now in the league in man coverage. So I like Rome quite a bit. I just don't think anybody clicks that name. And we know the ceiling that a guy like Rome Odunze can display here. I think this is a good matchup for him. Then I like A.J. Brown quite a bit. And then my kind of sneaky contrarian one behind Caleb Williams would be DeAndre Swift. I get all the talk with the Monangai there. I just think Swift has more of a passing game role, and he can still get the carries there. And I think it's more of a 60-40 split this week. Again, we're all guessing, but I think Swift at the price point there is a nice contrarian option there. Any additional takes from you, Ham, before we jump over and talk flex here?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we pretty much agree on everything, but the Saquon thing. I liked a lot of what you said. I get it. Like, it's scary, right, with him being the highest owned captain, but I think it's quote unquote good chalk in my opinion.
Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely. And let's jump over, talk the flex here. When I go to the flex, obviously talk to quarterbacks. Do you prefer, I guess the only thing, do you prefer one over the other, Hurts versus Caleb? I'm assuming you slightly prefer Caleb just because you're going to be higher on Barkley up top. But again, you can definitely play them both. It does get pretty restrictive, though, when you're doing that at these kind of salaries. And if you scroll down and look at the value, I mean, Tank Bigsby, Will Shipley, Calcaterra, Cole Kmet, Zacchaeus, I mean, Darius Cooper, it's very gross. The value on this slate is very, very bad. So that's another reason why I like kind of going that 13K to 10K range in terms of the captain position overall. But what do you see here in terms of the flex between Hurts and Caleb?
Yeah, you're right. I think, Jalen Hurts, we haven't seen him rushing like he's rushed it in the past, Nades, where he's breaking off 60-yard games. I know he's coming off back-to-back 30-yard games, which is obviously trending in the right direction. But, we had some big-time games from him even earlier this season and definitely last year. So, yeah, so if you're playing Saquon, I think it makes sense. You could fade Jalen Hurts. I think you'd be getting pretty thin, but I think having Hurts in the flex with Saquon up top is not the worst thing. But yeah, it's tough to jam in, let's just say Barkley and the captain and then both quarterbacks. I do think the Bears will be trailing in this game. So that's why I do like Caleb a little bit more than I like Jalen today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I tend to agree there. I lean Caleb more so. Especially at the ownership discount. I mean, you're going to get half the ownership of Hurts versus Caleb for obvious reasons there, but you also get a salary discount there of $800, which I think is nice. So I definitely like Caleb a lot more. Jalen Hurts, obviously a great play, both really, really good flex plays in general. Jump over and talk to running backs. Got to hit on obviously Saquon Barkley at 10-6. It is a big boy price point. He is up there. He hasn't cracked 20 fantasy points all but once this entire season. And that was in week 8 against the Giants, where he did go for a ceiling of 36 there, where he did obviously have the 2 touchdowns, went crazy, 150 rushing yards there. But outside of that, hasn't topped 20 fantasy points all but once. Obviously was close quite a bit of times. But, I mean, you kind of need him to hit, at worst, his median projection here of 18.5, I think, for him to out-touch these guys that can get a PPR type score of a guy like A.J. Brown, Rome Odunze, Devontae Smith for what it's worth. Even Monangai and Swift, even both there. Dallas Goedert at 5'2". I mean, these guys have a much easier path, in my opinion, to get up there, especially if Jalen Hurts is stealing those touchdowns. Now, if those touchdowns fall Saquon Barkley's side in the red zone, obviously that's going to make a difference. But he is pretty expensive. But more so, talk about Swift, Monangai. I know you're on team Monangai over Swift. I think they're both fine plays. I think you can definitely play them together in the flex at 66, 5,600. I think that's fine because, again, a lot of teams are going to round out with Jake Elliott and Santos as kickers, projecting for 30+% ownership, both of those guys there. But more so, talk about a guy like Tank Bigsby, who seemingly has been getting more work. And then, obviously, Will Shipley would come into play more so in Eagles onslaught type builds overall. But what do you see here from the running back position?
Yeah, Saquon for me. I don't like Tank at all, really. I know you like him a little bit. I'm just looking to see Will Shipley played. Yeah, he's only playing in the 10 to 15%, but I think Tank is as well. So it's really just Saquon. I mean, if I was choosing between the Bears guys, I think they both got to be in play. But Nades, it's like they're like a 50% snap, and that's tough in my opinion. Monunga at 5'6". I said earlier, it's tough to run on these Eagles just with Jalen Carter and company. Man, it's tough to play running backs today, I think, outside of Barkley. Even at those, I'll call them lower price tags, 6'6" for Swift and 5'6" for Monunga. I do prefer Monunga over Swift, but I'm going to try not to play those guys if I can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think my two favorite running back plays on the slate would be Swift and Monangai, with more so of a lean to Swift overall. There's kind of a spot that I'm looking to get in. And since I'm going to be lower on a guy like Saquon Barkley, I think having some exposure to a guy like Tank Bigsby, who could take that between the tackles type work at least a little bit. Again, not getting a ton of snaps there, but it's pretty gross in general. Realistically, you could avoid any of those guys and just play Barkley, Monangai, and Swift and call it a day. But I'm a gluten for punishment, so I'm gonna dabble with guys like Tank Bigsby at least a little bit there. Jumping over to the wide receiver mark here, you got Devontae Smith. Didn't look like he was going to play. He is now going to come back and play. Did get a full practice participation in, I think, yesterday or the day before. So he is going to play 8,600. It's been his offense overall. A.J. Brown's been reading a lot of books on the sidelines. Ownership's also going to swing that way. A.J. Brown's going to get left behind, being $1,000 more expensive than Devontae Smith overall. And then you got a guy like down at the bottom, right? Darius Cooper, preseason all-star here. They like this guy. He is talented. He's 1K. I think he is going to eat more into Dotson over as the season goes on, and I think this could be a week where he gets a little bit more in terms of looks and snaps and routes there. In general, it did play 21% of the snaps last week. His season high, where Dotson also played 4% last week. What do you see here from the wide receiver position on both sides?
Yeah, let's touch on the Eagles first. I mean, Jahan Dotson's played 90% of the snaps before and doesn't get any targets. I mean, it's wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, tight end 1 is kind of the three guys that Jalen throws to. Devontae went DNP, full participation, as you alluded to his last practice. That scares me, Nades. Anytime somebody doesn't practice twice because of an injury, and it wasn't an illness, it was more of an injury that he had. I think it was his shoulder or chest or something. Man, that's scary. And as you alluded to, if he's coming in higher owned than AJ Brown, we saw in those first 2 drives against the Cowboys last week what AJ was capable of. I think he had like 6 or 7 catches, including a touchdown against the Cowboys. This is a great spot for AJ. I know you like AJ a lot too, but it's those 2 only for me from the wide receiver position. I think, Darius Cooper is for $1,000. I think that's, you're rolling the dice on that. So if you're doing like $150, 150 lineups, I think he's in play, but for like single entry 3 max, I think that's too thin personally. And then on the other side, I'm interested to hear what you have to say. I mean, these corners, this secondary for the Eagles is pretty good. I know Pickens went crazy last week. Reed Blankenship got a full participation in his last practice. Quinyon Mitchell's turning into a top, I don't know, 2 or 3 corner. He's pretty good. Cooper DeJean is good. So they got a lot of good dudes out there. But Adunze, I don't know. Talk to me about Adunze or more. I mean, I don't love him, but I don't think anyone's going to love him either. So, yeah, I think I'm out, but maybe you can talk me out of it.
Yeah, I love Rome Odunze here. I just think everybody sees it's such a recency bias, quote unquote, but not only that, just projections. And you look at a projection like Rome Odunze has here, and just nobody's going to click that name when Devontae Smith has almost a 5 projection higher than Rome Odunze AJ Brown has a 4-point something projection, 4 points basically higher, and he's $600 more. And then DJ Moore, nobody's clicking that name. I'll tell you that at 8 projection at 8K. But I will tell you what it does is everybody want to click from the Bears? They want to click Luther Burden, right? 3,800. I get it. He's talented. His snaps have been increasing, this and that. But this is still Rome Odunze's offense, in my opinion here. And if he's going to be sub 20% owned, that's what's projected right now. I mean, give me Rome Odunze all day over a guy like Devontae Smith, who I think is playing hobbled and hurt, and that's just going to feed A.J. Brown more, Saquon Barkley, and a guy like Dallas Goedert when we get to the tight end position. So for me, wide receiver is easy. I'm going to be overweight on A.J. Brown, especially in the captain position. Rome Odunze I'm going to be overweight on, especially in the captain, but as well in the flex because I'm going to be playing Caleb up top as well, where Rome obviously fits. I will play some DJ Moore, more so tied to Caleb Williams' captain teams, because if it is DJ Moore, like a game like last week, that's going to help Caleb up top. You're also going to get the lower ownership of Caleb up top, as well as nobody clicking DJ Moore. So it's a way to play him differently. When most people play Caleb up top, they're going to have Rome. They're going to have Luther Burden going in with maybe a Rome and a DJ Moore, double spend up, and then you fade both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Something like that I think is interesting. So I will be playing DJ Moore, like him much more in Caleb Williams type captain builds, just because, I mean, I'm going to get a wide receiver that has upside like we saw last week for 10 to 12% ownership. I'll take a chance there. Luther Burden, good play. Can't say much. He is going to be the chalkiest value on the slate at 3,800 there. Looking at his snap counts from last week. Let me just go to the Chicago Bears. Last week, he was 51% of the snaps, so season high again there. But Zacchaeus is still playing 30-some% of the snaps, and he's going to be a fraction of the ownership. So again, in Caleb Williams type captain builds or a team where you want less duplication, just go down to a guy like Zacchaeus, right? Leave the $800 on the table. Go to Zacchaeus. You're going to get a 5% owned guy compared to a 40% owned guy. And again, we see random shit happen, right? We see Joe Burrow go into Baltimore and absolutely stonewalk and stomp the shit out of the Ravens yesterday, right? So I'll take a chance on a receiver, right, that are both very similar in my opinion. So I think Zacchaeus is an interesting play. And then my favorite sneakier guy on the Eagles would be Darius Cooper. If you're playing Jalen Hurts up top, I think that's an easy way to get different, is playing a guy like Darius Cooper. And then there is a $200 guy, I would say, just the reason, Xavier Gibson. The reason I'm saying that is he's $200 and he has a red zone target within the last 4 weeks. Very gross click by any means, but $200, if you need it to make everything work, he would be my favorite $200 guy overall. But really, it's A.J. Brown, it's Rome Odunze, my two favorites by a pretty wide margin here.
One thing on Xavier Gibson, he's a super gross click because he's been ruled out for the game. So definitely don't click on
it. Sorry, operating off one screen here. Yeah, so don't click a guy with a zero. But hey, $200 zero can definitely help you out there.
So hold on. So with that being said, I mean, that just puts your boy Darius Cooper puts him up another notch.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, he had 2 targets. He had two targets last week. Caught both of them. I think he's good. I mean, he was a baller in preseason, which doesn't obviously mean much. But again, they want to see what they have in these guys during the preseason, right? They know what they have in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, these guys. So it's more the ancillary pieces that they're trying to figure out what they have with a guy like that. So I think he's good. I think he's in play. And at $1,000, when nobody's going to click that name, I much prefer him. I'm not playing Dotson. I would just take any Dotson team that you have and just drop it down to him at $1,000. So
it's like what Tambo says all the time. It's not about playing Darius, whatever his last Cooper. It's about who you get in addition to Darius Cooper.
Yeah,
right?
But not only that, too, what it does for your roster construction as a whole, right? It's you're not playing the chalkiest value in a guy like Luther Burden. You're going to the other side and maybe tying it to a guy like Jalen Hurts to play him differently than everybody else is, right? So I think that's an interesting route, but my biggest stand is going to be underweight on Devontae Smith and overweight on Rome Odunze at basically the exact same price, $400. I mean, you can find $400 pretty much in any team that you build there. Let's go to the tight end position. Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland. Loveland looks like a pretty good play here. He has kind of solidified himself. No surprise, right, as tight end one in this offense. Cole Kmet is still getting snaps, still involved in this offense in general here. Just looking at the last 4 weeks from the tight end position, Loveland does lead the entire slate in terms of red zone targets. He has 3 targets, 2 receiving touchdowns, over that span in the red zone there. Dallas Goedert, not far behind with 2 targets, caught both of them for 2 touchdowns within the red zone as well. Cole Kmet has had 1 red zone target, and then it drops off a cliff, obviously. So for me, it's Dallas Goedert and Colston Loveland are my 2 favorites, with a distant Cole Kmet as well. And again, you're going to get another half the ownership of a guy like Cole Kmet compared to Loveland. So in teams where you're playing Loveland, don't be afraid just to unclick Loveland, click in Cole Kmet, leave that salary on the table, and you're naturally more unique there. But what do you see here from the tight ends?
Yeah, I love Dallas Goedert today. I think you could probably sprinkle him in up top too if you've built numerous teams. Once again, $5,200. I talked about the 3 linebackers missing, so you can hit them over the middle with these backup guys. And if I'm playing him in the captain, I know I didn't mention him in the captain, but I always like to have Jalen Hurts. I think the old Nade special, right? You get Dallas Goedert up there in the top. I think about you and Tambo on every standalone game for these Eagles. And Dallas has gotten you there before, Dallas Goedert, that is. And at $5,200, it allows you to jam in some of the other studs, and he could pop off for an 8 for 80 and 2 in a 17-14 type game, and he's going to be optimal at that point. So I love Dallas Goedert. Colston Loveland, a horrible pick, by the way. I think he was like the 12th overall pick, but
they drafted him over Tyler Warren. Can you imagine?
Yeah, exactly. Drafted him over Tyler Warren. But he is picking up steam in the sense that he's getting a lot better. I know he caught, I think, 2 touchdowns against the Bengals, but everybody catches a touchdown against them. But I think he had another one last week, 5 targets last week. Tough to pat. Tight ends struggle generally against the Eagles, but at that price, $4,400, another great price for him. And what I believe, and maybe you believe, that it's going to be a trailing game script, and we like Caleb up top. He's got to throw it to somebody. I think Colston Loveland's a great spot, simply from I'll call it a contrarian point of view of having him in there. But I love Dallas Goedert as well.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And Dallas Goedert would be the 5th captain if I was spreading out a little bit more. Again, Caleb, Rome Odunze, AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, and then DeAndre Swift are kind of the 5 captains that I'm looking at the most. Obviously, Barkley and Hurts are great, but again, I'm taking an underweight stance on those guys. I'll probably be with the field, or maybe even a little bit overweight in the flex, because I have some of these cheaper captains to be able to do that. Whereas vice versa, more people are playing those guys up top, where they have to get down to the value range, right, of the guys like Luther Burden, right, that are going to pick up a ton of steam because of the way natural rosters are being built on the slate there. Takes us over to kickers and defenses. Kickers, Jake Elliott, Santos look to be 2 of the more popular plays on the slate. No surprise, 5K, 4,800. But again, that's within those ranges of Dallas Goedert and Colston Loveland, who are also going to get played. But I prefer those guys here, personally myself, to the kickers. But I think this game plays the under, like a lot of Eagles games do. So naturally, if that's the case, you have to have some interest in the kickers and the defenses here. Eagles defense at 30+% ownership. I get it. Caleb can make mistakes and get sacks and things like that. And the Eagles defense is good, but man, it just feels tough to click a defense at that kind of ownership. And when I run dry run teams and getting 30 to 50%, 5-1 Eagles type teams where the defense is going to be played in those type builds, could steam even higher than this 30% range that we're kind of projecting right now. I think the Bears defense is a nice little leverage play. I mean, they can make some plays. How many times have we seen this on a slate? All it takes is one play. The Bears are $3,800 or $3,600, right? Same kind of range as guys like Luther Burden, Zacchaeus, the backup tight end like Cole Kmet, that range. I mean, there's really a terrible value range. They start with 10 points. I get it. That's not great by any means. But again, all it takes is one play. Kick return to the house, a pick six, someone drops the freaking football like a donkey or anything, right? I think the Bears defense
last night.
Right, exactly. I think the Bears defense, I mean, look at the Bengals yesterday. Nobody wanted to play the Bengals. Everybody was onslaughting the Ravens all day. Ravens defense was 40% owned or 35% owned, whatever it was. The Bengals defense, cheapest defense on the board. Nobody played them. They were optimal, right? Defense is the most variant position. Anytime I'm seeing this kind of gap of a 30 to 35% owned defense like the Eagles, I'm much more willing to just be overweight on the Bears defense and underweight on the Eagles in a game like this, especially where I think the Bears can somewhat keep it close or at least stay fairly competitive here from a DFS perspective. So what do you see here? Kickers and defenses round us out.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a stand like in single entry and three max, like an X out Jake Elliott. He just doesn't do it for me, Nate. I think he's got double digits once all season. Maybe more if you'll
Twice, yeah, twice. Week 2 and 11. But to your point, 3, 4, 4, 6, 5, 7,
they
3.
just
You
don't
look at,
kick field goals.
I mean, yeah, they're just more
Because
efficient
they go
because of the
for it.
tush push,
Yeah.
right? The tush push, right? It's an automatic first down. Anytime it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, I mean, automatic first down. Whereas the Bears, I mean, you got Santos 7, 7, 19, 11, 11, 6, 16, 8. So if I'm picking one, it's definitely Santos' side. I get it. 7-point dogs doesn't feel good clicking a kicker, but I think Santos and Bears defense is by far my two favorite options from the special team side of things. What do you see here?
Yeah, definitely Santos over Elliott. If I was going to play that, I'm gonna take Elliott out of the player pool and single entry three max. I mean, of course, if you're doing $150, you'd want to leave him in there. But and then defenses. I don't love playing defenses either. Like you said, it's super variant. The Bengals, the worst play on this, the worst play yesterday, and they just were the best defense by a landslide. It wasn't even close. How good they were. And to your point, like anything can happen. Jalen doesn't really turn it over, though. I would say that's the one negative. I think he has, 2 interceptions all season. Eagles defense scares me. They're pretty good. Caleb is wild, so I disagree with you a little bit there. I don't love the Eagles defense, but I would play them over the Bears, and I would play Santos over Elliott as well.
Yeah, no, excellent points there. I'm just from an ownership standpoint, right? And especially people see yesterday, right? And they see the defenses and that the defense has been optimal in a bunch of these showdowns as of late. It's a Black Friday, right, where there's more groupthink. I think that goes on a slate like this. I could see the Eagles getting to an astronomical round, even potentially the highest owned flex defense we have seen quite some time, right? Home defense favored by 7, facing Caleb Williams outdoors, right, in Philly. All the hypes around the Bears. I can see the Eagles defense steaming even higher than that. So I'll just naturally be underweight on that. Don't love really any of these plays though. Personally, I think I'd much rather play some of these tight ends, right? Like the Lovelands, the Dallas Goederts of the world, or play a more balanced, captain route, right? Like a Rome, like a DeAndre Swift, like a Dallas Goedert up top, where you don't really have to deal with any of these guys. But that's going to do it. Any closing takes here before we get out of here, Ham? What's your let's give a play of the day. What's your play of the day here?
My play of the day, I'm gonna say Dallas Goedert. I mean, Saquon up top's too easy, so I'm gonna say Dallas Goedert is gonna be on the winner. I like him a little bit in the captain, but I definitely think he's gonna be on the winner. So give me some Dallas Goedert at 52 hundo.
I like that a lot. I'm going to go to Rome Odunze captain. I think Rome Odunze is going to be squeezed a ton. I don't think anybody's clicking him. I wanted to say DeAndre Swift. That's a little bit more risky. I'm going Rome Odunze up top. I love Rome here today. I'm just buying low on this when everybody wants to sell him off. They saw last week DJ Moore was the guy. DJ Moore gets priced up. Now nobody wants to play Rome Odunze. They want to play Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, those guys over a guy like Rome Odunze. Give me Rome Odunze here. Think he has a big game on this Black Friday. That's going to do it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Down in the comments, drop your favorite captains and your score prediction. If you do get the exact score correct, we will give away a free month with SaberSim All Access plan. For a month, you can get in for free on our dollar to check us out and see what we're all about at ShippingNation.com. Get in the Discord and chat it up with some very, very knowledgeable members and an amazing community as well. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. Hopefully you're staying safe and having fun. Good luck this weekend in all your sports. Ham and I will be back Sunday to do the Sunday night football breakdown as well. So a bunch of us this week. But for Ham, I'm Nades. Good luck today, I should say, in those contests. Hope to see those Ship Nation logos at the top. We're out of here. Peace.